Yeah, looking forward to this weekend's match against Sporting KC. Very, very difficult place to play. A team who is very strong at home. If you are not careful, things can get out of hand there really quickly. So it's a game, once again, we are preparing ourselves for. That will be difficult. It'll be tight. It'll be competitive. And there are also solutions. So we have been focusing on those as well. Um, this week we've added a new player, Sebastian Mendez from Orlando, who has, like the other new additions, doesn't take very long for guys to integrate themselves into this group. I think our group does a great job of welcoming new players. He has some fellow countrymen in this team as well, so his integration process uh, has been finished extremely quickly and was excellent. Anytime a player joins our group and is smiling all day, then I think we've done something right for the player as well. So we're excited to have him and to get into some action hopefully this weekend.
Coach, you just mentioned Mendes. So it seems, and the feeling around the league is that the rich keeps getting richer. It feels like it's a move that he will he will be a starter for half the league, and here he comes to provide depth to a team that is already crazy deep. How is LAFC doing this compared to the rest of the league?
Um, Two things. I wouldn't sign off on the comment Rich is getting richer. I don't think we are the top spender in the league.
No, no, I mean in the sense of the Bale, Chiellini, like the depth of the team. Like it's you guys have a depth that is probably the biggest in history in the league.
Um, Look, it's a lot of homework and relationships. John and Will and our scouting department and as well as our coaching staff, we do our homework and we are always trying to improve the group on the field, but also off the field. And cannot force teams into giving us players, and we do not have other tools that other clubs do not have. We are working very hard, and we are constantly communicating and watching and trying to improve the group. And sometimes opportunities present themselves, and we can take advantage of those. And I think we've done a good job, timing wise, of taking advantage of those opportunities.
Another question: what do you see in him, and what does LAFC see in him that brought him? Obviously, we talk about depth. We talk maybe it's a good replacement when Ely is not available. Where does Mendes fit in your system?
Um, his versatility in all three positions in midfield, the two eights and the six, make it possible for him to play in all three positions. So that's an advantage. He is, physically very gifted and covers a lot of ground and is quite aggressive. So his ball winning abilities, something that we're also looking for in players. And he brings that. And on top of that, he's technically proficient and has an eye for certain windows. So he fits very nicely into an eight position for us. And in a pinch, he can play in a six position.
Coach, you spoke about his integration being seamless, at least so far. What do you think plays into that with this team's either schematically or in the system, or maybe even with the type of personalities that you have on this roster?
A couple things. It's a culture that needs to be created, and I think we've done that. We put a lot of work into that, creating that culture in preseason, and the guys, the locker room, they've done an amazing job in continuing that work. This is their team, and how well we play and how many games we win, they decide, not the coaches, and they are hungry and they take care of that, and we're really proud of them for that. We also, when getting a new player, we look where the player's been, where he's from, how can he fit into the group, and so it's not just a player we see who would fit on the field with the X's and the O's and the positions. How is his character and what is his personality like, and how will it affect the group? And we saw in Sebastian a player who already knows and gels well with Sifu and Chiki, and we understand that he would be perfect for our locker room um, from the talks we had with him prior to his arrival. So for us, it was a zero risk, and we knew he would be well integrated for those two reasons.
There's been new additions. Has your job become more difficult or easier now to maybe put some of these pieces in place?
Certainly, when you're changing things, it does change our work a little bit, and we have to observe and keep an eye on things to make sure everybody's going in the right direction. And um, yeah, so more changes means initially a little more work, but we are trying to improve, as I mentioned before, our team on and off the field at all times, and that work is always ongoing and should be continuous.
Coach, I wanted to talk about you in the sense of your first months as a head coach on MLS. We spoke at the beginning of the season, and you mentioned that relationship that you wanted to have with the players. And there are people first, then players. Problems are going to take care of themselves. I spoke with, for example, with Ilie, that he had many offers, but he decided LAFC after he spoke to you. For people that maybe don't know you as much, can you speak about what you've done here? That everybody that hears LAFC player just they rave about you and the personal relationship that you built here.
I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer your question, but I'll try. And it's not just me. It's Mark Dos Santos, Ante Razov, Oka Nikolov. It's our entire staff, and everybody in our staff has a personal relationship with the players. And um, not everybody wants to speak to me every day. I'm fully aware of that, and so the opportunity they can speak to others as well. And I think that's very important. Um, um, Being transparent and honest about our goals from day one, and keeping a straight line in our messaging, I think, is also important for a relationship, not just from coach to player, but in general. And that's what we've managed to do with these players. And so they know what they're going to get from us. They also know what we expect from them. And along the way, we're going to work hard to get better, but have a good time. And I think that goes a long way with players.
My last question, you just mentioned transparency in the objectives. Given what this team is going through right now, is it title or bust?
Our season objectives will remain internal, but we've challenged this group to try to win as many games as possible. Um, we don't want to leave points out there just to leave points out there to take a break. For me, there's no point in relaxing or taking a breather. It's every match we play, every time we put on the jersey, we have a job to do, and that is to be as successful as possible.
Steve, you head into a consecutive road match, going back to this KC. How important is for the team to get the result preparation for the rest of the second half of the season?
Yeah, I try not to look at the season as the first half and second half and what phase we're in. We are, of course, for planning purposes, we look at the calendar and how we physically control players' loading and to avoid injuries and all of that. But as far as performance goes and points go, it's week to week. And so this is a new match, a new opportunity. There's 3 points on the table, and 3 points that we want. So from that perspective, it's really week to week thinking, and at times half to half.
Thank you. We'll take a couple questions off of Zoom, starting with Josh Burke.
I'm not sure if you called me. This is Josh. You cut out. Is it my question?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
got it.
All right. Hey, Steve. Can you say does men different attributes or more flexibility than Poncho did? In what way are they different or similar? And is essentially a swap. Is that a wrong way to look at it?
Well, positionally, I think it's okay to see it that way. And I think they're different players. Both can help LAFC in different ways. Pancho is at a point in his career where he would like to play more, and we would also like him to play more. And I think moving is his best opportunity to play more for the short term. But long term, Pancho can help us, and I think his strategic way of playing, his passing, his vision, is are different attributes and qualities than Sebastian has. So both can help us. And I think right now, it's smart for Pancho to find a home where he can play more games, and we expect him to do that. the relationship with Sebastian is ongoing and growing, and we will see how he fits in and how much he can contribute.
Okay. And recovering from the Nashville match, what have you seen from Giorgio? He played an hour. Does he look like he can be a consistent sort of week in, week out performer for you? Do you think he'll get another start in Kansas City? And what should we expect from Gareth in this contest?
I suspect both can play. They've had a full week of training. They recovered very well from the game, enjoyed their debut, and they got a W. So, both are ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ryan Wallerson.
Hi, Steve. Can you talk about Jose Cifuentes, both over the last couple of weeks when, he's obviously on his way onto the MLS team of the week, but before the Galaxy game, you spoke to him as one of the most important players from last year and talked about a challenge issue for him to progress. Can you just talk about how he has answered that challenge this season and he speaks on his current form?
Yeah. If you look towards the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing every week, and there were things about his game we were not happy with. And as we've done with every player, we sit them down and we explain it to them and give them solutions. And Sifu, as you mentioned, has answered us, and he has found those solutions and has used them and applied them into his games. He's an incredibly talented player. Really, the sky's the limit. He's a complete player. I think one of the few in our league who can play in any position in the middle of the park. He's defensively and offensively solid. So it is now just a matter for him of playing consistently at a high level, and he's been able to do that for the past couple of weeks. And we will challenge him and push him as far as he wants to go to continue to do that, but also to continue to improve. And I think they mentioned this after the Galaxy game. One of the areas he still needs to improve in is his defensive positioning. But last week in Nashville, there was an improvement as well. So that is also something that he has the ability to learn and to adapt to a higher level, which not many players can.
Thank you.
Last question from Justin Ruderman.
Hi, Steve. You mentioned you were implementing some new ideas in training this week, and despite being bottom of the conference, Sporting Kansas City are tied for the second highest possession in the league with Galaxy. Do you expect to concede a lot of possession similarly to how you did against Galaxy? And is that easier to do with a full week's rest before and after the match?
Every game has its own tale. I think if you look at the halves of the Galaxy game, they only had a lot of possession when we went up, which is completely normal. I don't know if Kansas City will have more possession than us. If they do, we will have answers. What we've tried to do this season is be well balanced in all phases. Whether we have the ball, we do not have the ball, or we're in transition in both directions. So we'll have solutions for any situation that comes our way. And at that moment, it just comes down to the players to perform and in those moments.
Thank you.